Sometimes I say things and I go, what did you just say?
That's a song. You guys know the song. That's actually the Black Flamingos. My buddy Vincent over there, of course, from High Tide Recording. Hello. And before we even get started, I want to thank Vincent and Magda and my buddy Johnny over there for helping set this whole thing up. I got to turn my mic on here. Hold on.
All right, so how many of you guys have watched Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour? Thanks for coming to this thing. What you guys are enjoying right now is the Breezeway Cocktail Hour cocktail. That's like the best name I've come up with it. And I kind of wanted to talk about how I came up with that cocktail. I think it's all right. You guys like it? Thank you. And that was the first cocktail I've ever created. And I spent like a month with McBiff and Pinup Palmer and all these people going like, what do you think about this? And then we change a little thing, and what do you think about this? And the reason that I came up with that cocktail is because the Educated Barfly, I don't know if you know his YouTube channel, he goes, I would love to be on your show. We could do one of your cocktails on my show. And I was like, yeah, one of my cocktails. I was like, what are my cocktails? I don't have any cocktails. So then I started figuring out this drink. And the way that I approached it is I kind of worked backwards. First of all, I love the drinks of the Mai Kai, right? Yeah. And let's like, man, I'm just praying that next year we're gonna be at the Mai Kai and enjoying live music, the Molokai bar, and seeing the fire dancers and all that stuff. And the hula girls. Yeah, thank you so much. So the way that I devised this cocktail is I knew that most of the cocktails that I like are around like 5.5, 6 ounces. Like the 1934 Zombie. That's kind of the way that I was like, I want this to fit in a zombie glass. So I worked backwards from that. And then I was like, okay, my favorite drinks are from the Mai Kai, or at least a lot of them are. The main ingredients of most Mai Kai drinks are they call it the holy trinity of Mai Kai juices. That's lime, orange juice, and white grapefruit. Yeah, see, dude, he's like, yeah, I know those. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do 1 ounce of those each, right? No, 3/4 of an ounce. And then I knew that I wanted to include Dr. Bird because Dr. Bird is incredible, right? Yeah. And then I knew that I also wanted to include Hamilton White Stash. It's a great white rum, and I wanted to make sure that it was a drink that you could have several of and like not get wasted from. And that's the greatest thing about Ed Hamilton's zombie blend right now is you get the flavor of a zombie, but you don't get all of the booze of the zombie. And the boozy side of the 1934 Zombie is rad if you have like one drink for the night. But it's always that thing where like at the end of the night, you're like, dude, I think it's time for a zombie. And it's usually a horrible idea. And I think I've experienced several horrible ideas this weekend where you're like, dude, I think I'm done drinking tonight. And then somebody, last night, Richard, the promoter of this whole thing, he's like, we're doing shots of Jameson. And I was like, Jameson? I guess you're the boss. So anyway, this drink has 2 ounces of rum. So it's a drink that you can have a couple of, and you're not gonna get wasted from. Eventually you will. But it's a slow burn. Then I was like, okay, we gotta talk about demerara syrup, cinnamon syrup, the flavors of Dawn Beach. So I started including those things in little proportions, and then I was going up and down with them. There's a 1/4 ounce of demerara syrup and a 1/4 ounce of cinnamon syrup in this drink, and I love falernum, so we did the same thing with that. And then there has to be a curveball. There has to be something different because everybody's had those basic like flavors all the time, right? All the Dawn the Beachcomber drinks, all the liquidini drinks. And I was like, fiery ginger syrup. And that's like the secret ingredient to this thing. And it just gives kind of like this. Well, wait, I gotta make one because now I'm starting to get thirsty. And yeah, dude, I brought all of this stuff from California. It's the dumbest thing in the world, but my idiot friend over here, Vincent, he's very, I don't wanna say manipulative, he's very, what's the word?
Compelling.
Attractive and brave.
I can keep going.
But he's like, they'll appreciate the record player and the ice bucket. They opened up my bag because they're like, dude, what is this? Nobody would bring like a drink mixer in their luggage. So I have the drink already. That's the weird thing about this show too, is like my show is making cocktails. And they're like, yeah, it's gonna be batched. And I was like, yeah, but I can make my own, right? And do the thing. They're like, no, it's gonna be batched. So I already have it in here. Of course, we're gonna use, this isn't Pebble Ice, but you make do with what you got. Oh no. The show was almost ruined right there. I was like, oh no, what do I do? Of course, like if you watch the show, it's important to flash blend. Okay, anyway, cheers everybody. I want to thank you for joining me on this thing. Oh no. Did you guys hear that from the front row here? Oh, this guy's shaking his head. He's just disgusted with me. All right, we all know that you smacked the man. And by the way, like I know that the show is built this culture of like people talking about smacking the mint and like, dude, non-stop I'm getting questions about corks and I'm like, I think they're efficient. I enjoy the sound they make. But all these people are just like non-stop, what do you think about corks? And I'm like, you know what I think about corks. Yesterday I was having fish tacos and a cork landed in my fish tacos. I was like looking around. I was like, did a seagull drop it? This dude over here is throwing corks at me all weekend. Okay, well, yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I appreciate that. We do have a giveaway, right, Vincent? Did any of you guys get the Shrunken Monkey Tiki mug for the Breezeway cocktail hour mug? You know the one? Well, he made a special one-off, like a different colorway, different texture. How's that thing? It's a one of a kind. So we're gonna do a thing where if you guys have questions for me, there's a mic set up over there.
It's gonna be random. So it doesn't have to be good.
The best question will win this mug. If anybody wants to ask a question and enter themselves to win this thing, this is the way that I kill a bunch of time in the show.
Yes, I'm braver than all of you cowards.
I wouldn't do it. I don't even know what I'm doing right now.
For rum drinks, what's your favorite way to make them spicy? For somebody who really likes spicy.
Oh. I think my favorite way to make a rum drink spicy, I gotta move this mixer because I can't see you. I think it's falernum, I think it's ginger syrup. So, but you know, oh yeah, that's much better.
Where you want it?
Probably on the ground.
On the ground?
Yeah. But here's the thing, okay, so if you watch the show, you know that I'm not a professional bartender. I'm not even a mixologist. I mixologized one drink. So it's tough to answer those kind of questions. Like if Jeff Berry was here, he'd probably be super articulate about it. With me, I'm just like, I don't know, I kind of follow the directions and, you know, but I appreciate your question.
Hi, I'm Jason, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Jason is a co-founder of the Breezetonian group on Facebook. Yeah. He like wrote me and he's like, do you mind if I set up like a fan club? And I was like, I don't know. And now how many members are there?
We are at 699. We need our 700. Here's my other co-founder right here.
Yep, Tat Diver right there.
Designer of our coaster that you can pick up tonight. I have one question. First of all, I'm Cocksmith level 2.
That's another one of those words that become part of the lexicon. Thank you so much. Mythology of the Breezeway is McBiff in that like third episode or something just going, yeah, I'm not a bartender, but I'll try. And then he started talking about being a cocksmith, and I was like, cocksmith?
So my question is,
yes.
What do you think about corks?
Oh, for God's sakes. You know what I think about corks. Yeah, like I said, the funny thing about the cork thing was just having conversation. I heard the cork pop, and I was like, oh, I've always enjoyed that sound. I'm not like a weirdo. I don't have like a wall of corks that I pray to. It was just kind of out of conversation. So, yeah, I enjoyed corks. Sir?
Yeah, my name's Mark. I was wondering, what, if anything, did you buy at the Oceanic Arts auction? And if money was no object, what item would you have bought?
Oh, man. Did you guys all hear that? The Oceanic Arts auction? So I bid on several things, but also a giant tax bill just came due. And I was like, oh, I don't have any money anymore. So I watched a lot of things go by. And, you know, I thought like maybe $1,500 is like, it's not gonna ruin my life, but also I really don't have that to spend on this stuff. Of course, everything went for like way more than that. But I was in a bidding war, turns out, with a guy named Josh Agel. You might know him as Shag. And it turns out that Shag has way more money than I do. Like, way more. There was like a giant fork and spoon that Elvis was standing between with all these girls from, I don't remember what movie it was, but it was a promotional photo. And so I wanted that so badly. And then I also wanted like some of the Tahitian poles and stuff. But if I had the money and money was no object, I would probably get the big Don the Beachcomber. It had like the big googly eyes, but I don't have that kind of money. Sir.
My name is Carl, a big fan of the Hula Girls. I just want to know if you could give a brief history on one of my favorite tunes from there, The Warm Sands of Huntington Beach, and if you've had participation in that creation of that.
Wow, that's a very interesting question. There was a song on the first album, The Curse of the Tiki, that we did called The Warm Sands of Huntington Beach. And I was in a band before the Hula Girls called the Smokin' Manahoonies, and the idea was like a traditional kind of instrumental, hapa-howly steel guitar band. It was the early days of like the Tiki revival, like the early 2000s. And we had like this older lady who played ukulele, and she wrote a song in 1959. She was an older lady, but she wrote a song in 1959 called The Warm Sands of Huntington Beach. And it was this beautiful, dreamy steel guitar instrumental, and I don't think we've ever played it live. So, does that answer your question? Cool. Thank you for the question.
My name is Michael. One of my favorite things about watching your show, Breezeway, is the Breezeway and the glimpses we've been able to get of it. And my question is, I love the space.
Thank you.
Of your collection, what item, piece of decoration, ephemera, treasure is your favorite or most interesting, and the backstory behind it?
I don't know. I have a Leroy Schmaltz carved tiki that some guy wrote me on Instagram. The weird thing is that I have such a people know that I buy tiki stuff, just like a lot of us do. And this guy wrote me and he goes, "Hey, I have this Leroy Schmaltz Marquesan tiki that's about this tall. If you're interested in buying it, I'm asking I think $800 for it." I was like, $800? Of course, that would go now at auction for, I don't know, $20,000 or something. So I would say that it might be the Marquesan Tiki, and I drove my 1961 Econoline to Redondo Beach to this guy's place, and he goes, "Yeah, I don't have room for this thing anymore." And I put it in the back of my truck, and I kind of put some towels down, but as I was going around corners, I could hear it going brrr, like rolling around. I know. It didn't suffer much damage, but the whole time I was driving, I was just like, oh God, I'm ruining this thing. I think that's probably my most interesting piece. And then I've found like cannibal forks and stuff over the years, and they're like forks used to eat brains. Yeah, I know, weird stuff.
Jeff Bolden.
Hey, Jeff.
And my question is, where did you come up with the design for the pin? Because we've often thought it was kind of an odd design for a tiki show.
Oh.
Just that bottle.
How did I come up with the design for the pin? I just thought that it was like an interesting rum jug kind of thing. And then as a professional graphic designer, I just kind of like worked with it for a while. But yeah, it was just a rum influenced kind of design. Yeah.
The follow-up question to that is, does the cork really pop when you open it?
That one? Oh, absolutely. It's the loudest cork that there is. By the way, look, everybody take a look at this guy's shirt. Do you recognize that shirt? That's the pattern from the glassware that we first did. The logo's on there. There is a Oceanic Arts Tiki on there. So what's the story of that shirt?
Designed by my wife Carmen. She drew this based upon that, and then uploaded it to Spoonflower and created the
print.
And then created the shirt and the dress.
And what is this? Wow. That's absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, Carmen.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Do I have to put this on? Like now? This is not that kind of show. But let me go down into my changing room real quick. All right. Oh my God. This is very unsettling. Oh, it's okay. I'll just put my furry guy right here. Okay, so. Okay, another question. Thank you so much for this, Carmen. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the question. It's an honor.
Hey, Craig, Dr. Tiki here.
Hey, how you doing,
Now
Doc?
that we have the shirts you're going to be buried in, what is the last cocktail you want to taste as the end is nigh?
What, like if there's like a nuclear...
You're laying on the bed, the family's all around.
Oh my
you,
God!
You're asking for that last drink.
This is horrible.
that age, I gotta know, you know.
The last cocktail. I think we all have our go-to cocktail that we make for guests when they come over, or if you're just like having a drink by yourself in a dark room. Mine is always the daiquiri because it's simple, it's light, it's refreshing. It's not, you don't need 17 ingredients or whatever. It's not a whole lot to think about.
Elegant.
Oh, it is elegant. Oh, just like you. But to answer your question, man, I don't know. It's really hard to beat the 1934 zombie, right? So maybe it would be that. Maybe it would be the Breezeway cocktail. I try to say that with some humility, but I really enjoy that cocktail, and I hope you guys are getting more of it. Thank you so much. And I want to thank my friend KPB back there. She made the cocktails. All right, go ahead. Those are giant glasses. I love those.
Well, I wanted to be able to see you from the back row.
Ooh.
So I'm Junebug. I'm from Tiki Underground in Tropical, Ohio.
Rad.
I actually phoned a friend. I phoned Tonga Tim because he's doing another event right now and couldn't make it to this. So he wants to know when you are going to invent a drink called the Murder Queen.
Oh my God.
I got ooze, so I think that helps.
The Murder Queen. That was a guest that we had on the show a couple of times. Also the mother to my puppy. She abandoned us and ran back to Brazil with this, and she left me with this horrifying, adorable little Jack Russell that is trying to ruin my life. He jumps in the pond all the time, comes in with like seaweed hanging from him. Yeah, I got to come up with a cocktail called the Murder Queen. And if you want to follow her on Instagram, she's my beautiful girlfriend. But thank you so much for your question. Sir, C-3PO in a Hawaiian shirt.
Yes.
Did you see the episode with the C-3PO guy?
I don't believe so, no.
He's the live action actor of C-3PO. Like he went to the White House as C-3PO. Did you guys see that episode?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
And his buddy, the guy playing the Wookiee, you know, like the Chewbacca Wookiee guy.
Right.
He put his hands on the heads of President Obama and his wife and was wrestled quickly to the ground by Secret Service. Anyway.
Name is George.
Hey, George.
We've seen on the show a lot of discussion about the history of Tiki from the 30s to the 60s, and the revival starting around the 90s, and maybe a bit more recently with the Trader Sam's bars opening in the Disney resorts. What I want to ask you is, what do you see as the future of Tiki moving forward? Since we've seen a lot of changes between the decades in particular.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. One of the reasons that I wanted to do this show was not only just the Hula Girls couldn't perform anymore because of the COVID and stuff, but one of the reasons that I wanted to do this show is because I think a lot of people were getting Tiki Tiki's a thing, right? And historically there are guidelines, and of course, you know, there's this is such like a hot topic. There's looseness within those guidelines, but I kind of wanted to tell the story of Tiki and hopefully educate people so that they know that there's a thing, you know, it's not whatever you want it to be. Going forward, I hope that more bars embrace the past and get the decor correct, and you know, seeing that Oceanic Arts auction and the passion that people had for that original 1960s, those original 1960s carvings. I'm hoping that there is a renewed interest in the vintage side of the whole thing. And I do appreciate the modern interpretations, but I love the vintage stuff. So yeah, I hope it goes that way. Yeah. And of course the mixology is already like way beyond where it was like in the early days of the Tiki resurgence. Like we would go to Sam's Seafood, which became Don the Beachcomber, and we would just get the drinks because we were in a Tiki bar, and it was like we were having the drinks. But the drinks were horrible. Like they were horrible drinks. So the cocktails came second, the early stages of the Tiki revival. And now it's almost like flip-flopped where the cocktails are like in the forefront, and a lot of like the decor and the culture that we learned about from the 50s and 60s has kind of, you know, passed on. So yeah, thanks for your question. Vincent, how are we doing on time?
About 1 o'clock right now.
I think the show's over. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us once again on Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour. I really do appreciate you guys being here at the Hukilau. So I guess we gotta figure out a winner for this thing, right?
Okay.
And of course, this is Vincent from the Black Flamingos. And the Black Flamingos are, of course, the theme music for the intro. Like, this is his band. And I've basically stolen his song. Like, everybody hears the song and they go, oh, dude, that's that YouTube thing. Yeah, it's mine. Thanks, dude.
So we're not going to do best question necessarily because that's an opinion. So we just want to make this fair for everybody. So we have a randomizing app that we're gonna pick our random person here. So give us just a minute to run that.
Okay.
We're gonna align this with a Hula Girls track and see who lines up with the first letter of their name.
Oh.
It's very complicated. Give us just a minute. We're gonna run this. We'll get right back to you.
You guys have any loose questions while we're just hanging out here? You don't have to get up or anything. Yeah. Yeah, the future Breezeway expansion plans. I cut 2 holes through my roof, and I'm building this with my buddy who we build hot rods together and cars and stuff, so he's like a genius builder. When I go back, we're gonna put the roof on the rest of the Breezeway, and then tin roof on top of that, rusted. And then, thank you. Finally, I'm gonna be able to install cameras and lighting and stuff specifically for the show so that it will look the same every single time. And yeah, I'm so happy that the show has grown to 11,000 subscribers at this point. And it's such, okay, I don't know if you know the punk rock band X, but years ago, my buddy manages them. Years ago, he told Billy Zoom, the guitar player of X, he told him about the Hula Girls. And he goes, yeah, it's like a rockabilly band themed in Hawaii, play some surf music. And Billy Zoom goes, cool idea. Kind of limiting. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's super limiting. And I think that's the problem with the Breezeway cocktail hours. We're so specific to tiki that it is kind of limiting in a global YouTube thing. And that's why I'm trying to bring on people like Brandy from Storage Wars. So the Breezeway expansion is going well. And I a lot of people were concerned that we hit the 100th episode and we just call it. And no, dude, I enjoy it so much. So I really appreciate you guys coming to this thing. And hopefully I didn't bore you or whatever. I didn't know what this was going to be. I think it was okay, right?
Can you give us a little update of what you know about the Beachcomber, especially the history and location?
He's asking for an update on Dawn the Beachcomber and Sunset Beach and the history of where things are going and where the sign went and stuff. If you aren't familiar, there was a bar restaurant in Sunset Beach, California that had a big fish on the roof with neon sign that said Sam's Seafood, or just said Sam's in the letters. The Hula Girls played 200 shows there when it was Dawn the Beachcomber. We were kind of the house band, and actually John, my buddy Jono here, what did you say? It was essentially the CBGBs of the Tiki revival. A private clubhouse, and he said that the Hula Girls were in essence the Ramones of, which just like for me, dude, I love the Ramones. Okay, what happened at the end of the thing was that the owner of the land, this dude bought all the land with the idea that he was going to bulldoze this thing, and they didn't realize that he was buying historic property, and also the Coastal Commission's like, dude, you can't just bulldoze this thing. He wanted to put up a high-rise, of apartments, and so Dawn the Beachcomber was there for about 10 years, and then eventually he raised the rent so high. Man, the rent's too high. Remember that dude? He raised the rent so high that Dawn the Beachcomber couldn't survive there anymore. It was like $40,000 a month or something. It was crazy. It got to a point where it was out of control. So the place is vacant, and then these Indian dudes moved in, and it was like an Indian restaurant for a minute, which was kind of a weird thing because you go into this tiki bar and they've got like what's the dude's name? Ganesh, like the elephant god. Yeah, food was great, and we got along really well with the owners, and we thought that we were going to turn it back into like a Hawaiian restaurant kind of thing. The city kept like putting red flags on the doors, saying that we were going to pull your occupancy, and so at this point, the occupancy has been struck from it. So it's a vacant building with all this incredible Milan Guanco tikis, oceanic arts decor, all this stuff. It's just sitting there, and it's a case like Las Vegas, like places like Newport Beach, probably Miami. Well, Miami does a good job of like preserving vintage places or historical places, but like I said, Vegas, Southern California, the property becomes way more valuable than the things that are on it. And so, most developers go, dude, I don't care about this old seafood restaurant. So I think that it's going to, unfortunately, meet its demise, but Coastal Commission's going to get in the way, and in the meantime, it's just kind of crumbling in on itself because of termites, and it's a mess. Yeah, so sorry for the bum out. Oh, the sign. Yeah, the sign. So my buddies at Lace Sensor Pickups, they make guitar pickups for people like Eric Clapton and stuff. They bought the sign. All of a sudden, dude, on Craigslist, there was like this ad for the sign, like the fish sign. And I was like, oh my God. So I started calling around. I was like, dude, I think it's not that big. It'll fit in my backyard. And I'm calling around, and I think they said free. You just have to like find somebody to like take it down. So I'm like calling these companies, like these sign companies, like, hey, what do you think it would cost if you just like brought this thing down and drove it to Costa Mesa and craned it into my backyard? You know, I was getting quotes for a couple $1,000s. I was like, oh, dude, I can do a couple $1,000s. So I called the dude who owned the building, and he's like, it's not for sale anymore, because everybody was freaking out. So my buddies at Lace Sensor Pickups were the ones who actually bought it. I think they paid like, God, what did they say? $5,000 for the sign. And then to have the construction company go cut the poles off, remove it, crane it down, was $18,000. And then I saw it on the ground, and I was like, dude, that would not fit in my backyard. When it's way out there, you're like, dude, that thing's tiny. Like, it's probably the size of like a VW bus. And you get it on the ground, and it's like the size of like an RV. Yeah. So. Not fitting in the Econoline, no. Yeah, so it's on display at their shop. Hopefully, you know, I think we're gonna maybe do some events there. We've actually talked to the High Tide about doing like a surf show or something there. And they are also talking to the owner of the property, so that if it comes to being bulldozed, they will probably acquire all the decor. And they want to recreate the Dagger Bar, like somewhere else. So man, it would be like gutting CBGBs or something, and then just moving it somewhere else. So let's just. Where's the Dagger? Oh, I think Delia, the owner, she was the owner of Don the Beachcomber, the license. I think she has it, yeah. She has a storage unit of all the, yeah. So, I think that's all. We're gonna do the thing.
Yeah. I have a question.
What's your question, sir? What's your name?
What's the deal with the bungalow party tonight?
Oh! Yeah, we're gonna do a bungalow party at room 907. Thank you, sir. It's put on by the Breezetonians here. And also, the drinks are going to be sponsored by Hidden Harbor, one of the greatest tiki cocktail bars in the world. Music provided by High Tide Recordings. And if you aren't familiar with High Tide, they not only have the Hula Girls on their label, but also the Surfer Jets and the Hilo High Flyers and who else? Manicuras. Did you hear them last night? That new record by the vinyl, dude. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, we could do this all day. Yeah, go to their website.
We'll give you our method on the giveaway. So we chose a random number 1 through 12, and we applied it to the Hula Girls album Jungle Beach Party.
Ooh, the red one.
The random number was 7, and that track is called Mr. Bartender.
Ooh,
appropriately.
I like that one.
And we matched up the first letter of the first person's name to get up there with the first letter of that track. So our winner of the one-of-a-kind Breezeway Cocktail Hour mug is our good friend Mark. Where's Mark? Hey, there he is.
Mark, congratulations. This is a one-of-a-kind, one-off Breezeway Cocktail Hour tiki mug from Shrunken Monkey. And yeah, you could put on eBay right now and probably make $1,000. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Aloha. Malort. No. I forgot about the Malort. Somebody gave me the Malort.
You had Malort, right?
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's a type of Amaro. It's called Alta Verde. It's the worst fucking shit I've ever seen.
Thanks for coming to this
question, just a comment.
Yeah.
You got us through COVID.
Oh, thank you so much. I hear that so much. That's so nice.
Oh my gosh, you kept the tiki torch lit for us. It was terrible,
Oh.
but you kept it going.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Oh man.